अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पददर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः।
गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े काके लागू पाय बलिहारी गुरु जिन गोविंद दियो बता। मात पिता तुम मेरे प्रभु मेरे गुरु। मात पिता और
বাবা বসে ভাগবত পাঠ করতেন কখনো কখনো। তার মন্দির প্রতিষ্ঠার সময় ভাগবত ঠাকুর পাঠ হল বাবা করেছিলেন। তাতে বাবা বড় ছেলে, বাবা খুব বড় পণ্ডিত, ভাগবতের পণ্ডিত। এই সারা ভারতবর্ষের নানান জায়গায় তো ভাগবত পাঠ করতেন সংস্কৃতে। তারপরে জমিদারি ছিল, টাকা পয়সা অভাব নেই, বাড়িতে দবিবা মন্দির ছিল, সেখানে পুজো হয়, সব হয়, মানে কোনোটারই কোনো কমতি নেই সব। কিন্তু এই কেদারবাবুর সঙ্গে পরিচয় হলো, রামকৃষ্ণ পড়লুম, বিবেকানন্দ পড়লুম, এইসব পড়ে ওরা সব ধরে এমন করলেন যে আর কিছুতেই আর মা বাবা ওরা আটকে রাখতে পারলেন না। আর আমি হচ্ছে বড় ছেলে বলে, আমি হলুম বলে আমার বড় ছোট ভাই পানু সেও হয়েছিল, মনে গেছে। আর আমার প্রথম যে বোন হয় আলতী, সে যখন সারদা মঠ হয়, ও এই সারদা মঠের সন্ন্যাসিনী হয়েছিল। আমি বলবো তার কৃপা ধ্যান কে আমি সাথে।
My first contact with a Swami of this order, it is just an accident. I was lying ill at home. I had epistaxis, the disease at that time used to be called. I mean, the result was you bleed from your nose, bucketfuls. I was bleeding, and sometimes high temperature. They used to put ice and put down water, but it was not under control. The doctors were sick. Finally, a time came when it seemed that I got mad or possessed by a ghost or something like that. That was my condition. Sometimes some fits will come after bleeding. During that period, there was a function in the township. That was not a city, that was a district town in North Bengal. There was a Ramakrishna mission, Sharadamani Girls School, where there was a function, prize distribution or annual function, something like that. My father was invited to speak. So he went, and then when the meeting was over, the Swami in charge of the Ramakrishna Center there greeted my father and said, "You don't look to be happy. It seems you are worried. Something wrong? What's the matter?" He says, "No, you see, my eldest son, he is not well. He is suffering like this, like this, like this, like this." He said. But I was a sick man. I was lying in my bedroom inside. So the Swami came to my room. That was the first time I saw him. He blessed me. He prayed for me. And I got a fit even during his presence. And when I am still conscious, when I was doing all sorts of things in my fit, he was touching my head, and as far as I remember, he was taking the name, repeating the name of the Lord. And then after some time, all the shivering and things became quiet, and I soberly looked at him. He was caressing me nicely, and I didn't know what happened. I started liking him. Not only liking, loving and respecting him. And then he too on his side, though the ashram was in another end of the town, he used to come by cycle to the town to collect money to meet people and all that. Until I started walking about, he used to come to the house and say hello to me and go. That is how I came in touch with a monk of any order, and especially the Ramakrishna order. The name of the Swamiji is Gurudhyanam Maharaj. He was a disciple of Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj, Mahapurush Maharaj. During all vacations, I couldn't help when I used to come home. Vacation means there was no college in our town, so I was somewhere else. And during vacation, when I used to come home, I shall not miss any opportunity to visit the Swami either in the morning or in the noon or in the afternoon. And while doing so, yes, one day now he passed on a book to me. That is Swami Vivekananda in India, and then Swamiji's lectures. He passed on to my hand, and I brought them home. And during vacation, all my studies were left as it is. The box containing my books were hardly opened. These were my studies now. So I enjoyed, and I was getting more and more drawn to Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. Now, like this, I finished my intermediate. During this period, you see, someday, during the rainy season, summer vacation, he will invite us for food. So early morning, after finishing bath and thing, by 9 o'clock or so, probably we shall go to the ashram, and would find that everybody was busy going to the shrine and making a garland or doing this or doing that. Everything, all attention was the temple. So we also followed. So started collecting flowers from here and there. There was a Raja, you know, a king in that district. So one of his bungalow was very near, and there used to be big flower garden. So we make friendship with the gardener, and we'll go and bring flowers and make garlands and put in the altar, and Swamiji will be worshipping, and after that, worship and everything, there will be some song, and then, of course, that must be there. So good prasadam. So we used to have very good lunch. At night, sometimes we stayed and we had dinner. And then someday he will say, would you like to do this evening Vesper? Why not? But I was afraid to do it in the ashram, though at home I have done. But here it is different. But anyway, slowly I started doing. Someday, one day he said, would you do little puja today? Worship in the noon? Well, this was slow poisoning, you know. It went on. And we did. And as we did, we enjoyed. And it all became ours. And I said, Maharaj, now I am finishing my intermediate. My parents are saying that I must do my degree and my master's degree and this and that. And my father had an idea that he will make me a district judge. But I am now feeling after coming in contact with some of my professors that I would like to become a professor. So, but after coming in contact with you, I feel, whatever may be about my studies, but I would like to stay in some close contact with some Swamis. Where can I stay like that and do my studies? One of my great uncles, one or two of them, had studied in the Presidency College. So I have got that legacy and I get admission. Dr. V.N. Shen, Wrangler, was the principal then. So he said, all right, first you make sure that you get admission into the student's home and all that. So I found that very difficult. I sent a request for application form and all that. There was Swami Santoshanandaji, the dry-bone Swami. He gave a beautiful reply in 3 lines in a postcard. It will serve no useful purpose to send you an application form because you have already done your intermediate. We admit only immediately after passing the matriculation. But finished. There is no second sentence or wishes or anything. So I got ferocious. What? This is the kind of... Now here is Swami Gadadharanandaji, so kind, so sweet, and what is this letter? And he is the assistant secretary there, and I have to go there to stay. God saved me with vengeance. And there was another rule, that if there is co-education, if any student wants to read in a college of co-education, he will not be given admission into the students' home to stay. Now, with vengeance, I said I shall go to Scottish Church College, where there is co-education, and I shall live in a hostel run by the college authorities. So I got myself admitted in the Ogilvy Hostel, Rottaki Bagan Lane, very near the college, and I started my studies. Now, as designed by God, I was on the second or third floor, and on the other floor, third or fourth floor, my room was here, the single-seater room here, and his room was there on that side. Another student studying in the same year. So he used to watch from there that I am peculiar. I don't enter my room with my shoes. I do all this cleaning with my own hand, and incense stick is burnt, and some flowers I get and put somewhere in that room. So one day, gradually he came and he peeped in when I was in the room and said, "Oh, you are a devotee of Ramakrishna Vivekananda." So I said, "Who are you?" He said, "Well, I am there. I am also studying with you. My subjects are a little different, combination different." So he said, "Oh, yes. Then I said, "Very good, Rishabh. We are friends now." Then during our talk I found that he knew the student's home very well, and he knew the secretary also. So I said, in the meeting our session started, I was attending my college. So I said, "Can you take me one day there?" He said, "Yes. Some Saturday or Sunday we can go in the afternoon." So one day he took me there. Now in this prestigious college and this prestigious hostel, everything was very fine, and I was in a single-seater room. But there is one thing, the problem from the family of an orthodox Brahmin family. Now in this hostel, there is not only goat meat, mutton, but there used to be chicken also. And I said, "I am a strict vegetarian." But you know in the hostel what happens, it gets mixed up here and there. So that was a terrible thing for me. I said, I must somehow get out from here. It's a horrible thing. Anyway, so one day we went. I think we went on a Saturday. And the information was given to the secretary by the same assistant secretary whom I met first. And he informed the secretary, Swami Atmasthanandaji Maharaj, the author of Sri Ramakrishna's Spiritual Renaissance, that one young student had applied like this and we had prepared like this, so he has come. And I had already had one encounter with him. He fired me and I fired him. That is what Swami Santoshanandaji told him. So he said, "All right, let him have little breakfast, some snacks, and then send him to me." At that time, he was living in a small cottage on the side of a lake where there was a big, huge banyan tree, and that was in Gauripur, very near Calcutta airport. Now that ashram, that place has been already devoured by the airport, and this students' home has been shifted elsewhere to Belgorgia. Somebody called me that now you can go and meet Nirvedanandaji Maharaj. I went, I made pranam. First thing was, beautiful appearance. He was seated on a cot, and big eyes, lotus eyes, sharp face. And after I bowed down to him, he looked at me. So he said, "What is the harm if a little chicken soup goes in?" So that is how he started. What is the harm? So the way in which he talked and greeted me was wonderful. It made me smile. And I said, then afterwards, he said, "All right, you go to that Swami once again and tell him to reconsider." So because he said, I went and told him. So he said, "All right, so you have somehow done some tricks with this Secretary Swamiji. He is like that only. Anyway, but one condition." What is that? Condition is, you must leave that college. Co-education college not allowed. I said, "All right, let me see." And then I got my transfer certificate and got admission into the Presidency College and came to students' home. And life in the students' home with Swami Nirvedanandaji, Aseshanandaji and Vishwakanandaji, it was all, there was full of rules, regulations, discipline, etc. But there is a different atmosphere created. You don't feel that you are doing duty while cutting grass or cutting vegetable or cooking. No, you don't feel. Or washing the kitchen. You don't feel. We all have to do everything ourselves. Cooking, partly, there was a paid cook also. But cleaning and all that, and daily washing your own dish, sweeping, a huge compound to be kept clean, washing your own clothing, everything you had to do. But as if it is a music, everything went on so well. And the most charming was what we used to call nocturnal gathering. Say, after night meal and things, during winter it will be inside the rooms. During summer there is to be lake there. By the side of the lake there is the benches, concrete benches. There the Swamis will sit and we shall squat on the floor with a mat or something, or even like that. And stories of ghosts and things will be told by the Swamis and we shall hear. And sometimes in between just one bombshell may be thrown. What is that? Probably some of us escaped the college to go to a picture or something, and that has been reported and caught. So while everything going on, suddenly the bombshell will be burst, and we started shivering. Now the Swamis are getting annoyed, and the Secretary Swami Nirvedanandaji Maharaj is annoyed. So God help us if we are asked to get out from here. But in between the jokes and things, how many instructions used to be given? They were wonderful. We had some days there were stories of ghosts. Some days the Swami will talk about the story or fact, whatever it is, of a over-drunken man, how he behaves at night. So like that, he used to talk and we enjoy. And then finally, by the time we have to go to retire, he will stretch his hand and we shall say good night, good night, good. No, making pranams like that. It's a good night. So all of us will do good night, getting the touch of a senior, such a big monk, a learned monk, and a disciple of Swami Brahmanandaji. See, we can never forget those days. As you have heard that I am a disciple of Dhyananandaji Maharaj, something about him. When I had my initiation, I had 3 or 4 more with me. I could feel something when he was reciting, chanting the sacred mantra. Well, whole atmosphere was surcharged, and he himself was transported somewhere. We could feel immediately, what is this? As if the whole place was saturated, it was illuminated with knowledge, with joy, unbounded. He was taking the name, that is something, and that is how it is transported. See, spiritual current has to go, and we felt that, yes, it is something unforgettable. And another incident, one day we went to his room, making pranam and all that, and devotees who came, now you all give dollars in covers and like this, like that. If there is something there, basket or something good, otherwise they put it on your feet and go. So after the devotees left, myself and I think 2 or 3 just entered the room. We are students, so many of you will knowing Swami Atmasthanandaji, who came here. He was then the cashier of Belur Math. He came and Swamiji said, count this money. And the earlier you took all this money. So all the money was counted and he nicely arranged and gave it to him. He used to have long shirts, long coats. It was winter and many pockets. So he took all the money like this, and put in the pocket. And then he looked at us and said, see, I am a monk. You think I am a monk, a disciple of Ramakrishna who could not touch money? And see what I am, putting money here, there, everywhere. Everything I am taking. So he made fun. And in a minute, suddenly he started, Oh God, Oh Ramakrishna, Oh Ramakrishna, Oh Ramakrishna, in such a way, the whole atmosphere changed. Wonderful drama.
তাকে কেমন দেখেছি একটা ঘটনাই বলবো। মন্দির প্রতিষ্ঠার পরে উনি ঘরে ফিরে এসেছেন, তখনও বসেননি, দাঁড়িয়েই আছেন। ঘরে কয়েকজন ছিলেন, আমিও সেখানে ছিলাম। তখন তাকে বোধহয় ভরত মহারাজ জিজ্ঞেস করলেন যে আপনাকে যে স্বামীজি বলেছিলেন যে এইখানে রামকৃষ্ণের মন্দির এটা করতে করে ওপেনিং করার কথা, তা আপনি করলেন, তা এখন কি স্বামীজি দেখলেন কি হলো, কি বুঝলেন? তো উনি যখন বললেন, উত্তর দিলেন, আমি তখন দাঁড়িয়ে ছিলাম ওর ঘরে ওখানটায়। তিনি বললেন যে হ্যাঁ, আমি ঠাকুরের পুষ্পাঞ্জলি ইত্যাদি দিয়ে আমার যে করার করে প্রতিষ্ঠা হয়ে গেল, তখন দেখছি মন্দিরের যে ওপরে গোল থাকে সেখানটায় ওপরে স্বামীজি, রাজা মহারাজ এরা সব দাঁড়িয়ে দেখে প্রণাম করছেন।
1938 সালের 14ই জানুয়ারির কথা আপনি বলছেন, একটু যদি এই আত্মারামের কৌটো প্রতিষ্ঠা এই ঘটনাগুলো একটু বলেন। সেই মুহূর্তে কারা কারা ছিলেন, কিরকম?
সকলেই ছিলেন, বিজ্ঞান মহারাজ তো করলেন, হ্যাঁ, আর তো সকলেই ছিলেন, সকলেই প্রণাম করলেন, আনন্দ করলেন খুব। তারপর তো কীর্তন টীর্তন সব খুব হলো। কিন্তু যেটা অদ্ভুত ব্যাপার সেটা হচ্ছে এইতে, যে মানে তোমাকে প্রশ্ন করা হলো যে স্বামীজি যে বলেছিলেন তো কি দেখলেন, বলে হ্যাঁ দেখলাম, তখন ওপর থেকে উনি দেখে প্রণাম করছেন।
When I was in the students' home, during that period, Swami Shuddhanandaji Maharaj, Sudhir Maharaj, a disciple of Swami Vivekananda, became president. That is after the Mahasamadhi of Vijnanandaji Maharaj. One day, some of the students of the students' home had gone to Belur Math, And Shuddhanandaji Maharaj used to love the youth very much. He would give special time for the youth, the young boys. During the conversation, he inquired if there is some among the students who can do daily worship, etc. nicely, and who knows or can read the Gita and the Chandi well. So these boys mentioned my name. They mentioned my name because by this time my duty was given to take charge of the temple management. And so they knew how I was chanting and I was reading and all that. So when the Swami, the president, asked, is there any boy who can do it well and this and that? So they said, my name they mentioned. And so he said, tell him to come to me one day. Though I have gone to him earlier, but unnoticed, with other students I have gone, I have taken the dust of his feet and all that. But now he said, send him to me, tell him that I have called him. So the president of Belur Math has called me. You can understand, it is very exciting, very great. I told Nirvadanandaji that he has called me. So probably today I shall miss my college classes and I will go to Belur Math if you kindly permit. So he said, okay, you go. I came alone that day to Belur Math. So when all other visitors had finished seeing the Swami, then I went near him. He inquired my name and from where I come and what I was studying. And all the time, there was some defect in the eyes. He used to look like this. He used to see my face and all that, and he would talk. And he took me almost on his lap, very close to him, and he was patting me and talking. Very lean and thin, sickly Swami, Shuddhanandaji. Only bone and skin, very fair, very bright face and eyes, but like that. With stretched leg, on a chair he was seated, and I was kneeling down just there, touching him, and he was touching my head and all. And then he asked me, do you always speak the truth? Do you always speak the truth? Truth? Always speak the truth, huh? Always speak the truth. I said, yes, I try to. Well, no, you must speak the truth. Truth, truth is God. Truth is God. And then he said, you are a student. Student is a brahmachari. Then he pulled me and took me, can you believe, in his lap. This old man sitting on the chair, then he pulled me, as I take one toe, so he took me like that, and then patted my head and my back, and said, Thakur bless you, Thakur bless you, Thakur bless you. How can I forget this when I have to talk about my reminiscences? Something very thrilling for a young man.
Kedar Baba, Achalanandaji, as you know, was also a disciple of Swamiji. He was a great sannyasi. See, to see him was as if to see Tyaga, Vairagya, Shraddha, Bhakti embodied. He was always absolute. When we saw him, he was nothing but an embodiment of the spirit of sacrifice, spirit of renunciation, spirit of dedication. Great Swami. And he also used to give lot of times for youngsters, for brahmacharis, and he used to guide them. Well, if anybody has contributed most in bringing me to Belur Math, it was Kedar Baba. At the same time, he was very kind. He had a motherly heart, but very rigid, very puritanic also. At night, one day, here in the Pangat, I was then in the Hobu Shatu, not yet joined. Kedar Baba used to live in the Legate house on the southernmost corner room, where Mother also, Holy Mother also lived for some time. In the Pangat they gave Rasagulla. The great sin I did was, I ate 2 rasagullas. Not 3, not 4. Then at night after meals we used to go and sit with him. Bhavatar Maharaj used to be there and some other monks. Then nicely he started talking. Oh, today there was some sweets and things in the Pangat. Yes, Maharaj. Then he asked me how much he had. I said 2. For half an hour I told him, you brahmachari, you had 2 sweets at night? Completely. These are all greedy fellows. You want to eat. You are not fit to be Swamiji's soldiers. Half an hour for 2 rasagullas. Baap re baap. Terrible. But at the same time, I was not joining. He was getting more and more fidgety. He said, what are you doing? Why are you delaying? Madhavanandaji was telling you, finish your MA examination and then you come here. And Kedar Baba said, if you finish your MA, you will never become a monk. He was telling me to come, but I was delaying. Do you believe in dreams? Now, one day I dreamt. Yes, it was early part of the night. And not early part, late part of the night. Early morning rather. That Kedar Baba came in full figure, his robust health, not in the ruined health that we used to see him. He came and woke me up and said, what? You are still here. You will go to hell. Don't delay. You come to Belumont. I woke up. I felt as if Kedar Baba has come to me straight. Then I said, no, it was a dream. Thank God I'm safe. Again, I waited. Then actually, that brought me quick to Belumont. I could not wait after the dream anymore. Otherwise I would have drifted. And he had done a forecasting. We too used to read together. We were in the final year and the examination was drawing near. In the legate house here, he one day said, that is Bimal, a Shalkiyar. Shalkiyar থাকতে একটা আশ্রম ছিল, ওইখানে বিমল ছিল আর আমি দুজনেই আসতাম। So he said, তোমাদের মধ্যে যে এমএ পরীক্ষা দেবে তার সাধু হওয়া হবে না। I did not appear. I am here. Bimal appeared, got a 2nd class or 3rd class probably, and still I knew he did not marry himself, but his brother married, so he was taking care of brother's wife and brother's children. That is what he was doing. This is Bimal.
When I was sent to Mayavati, Swami Pavitranandaji was the president. Pavitrananda Swami was a very fastidious man, very fastidious. He would shout, it cannot be, it cannot be. That was his way. It cannot be. I remember.
I never talked to you over the phone. I never got to see you.
It cannot be, you didn't hear?
No, not
It cannot be. Now, being the junior most, I was given the charge of accounting and cash, and after 3 or 4 months or 6 months, almost cut off, 2 rupees short. So 100 times I calculated and recalculated income and expenditure. No, 2 rupees short. And though it was a monastery of 6, and there were some guests, we had particularly one Parsi friend, our Firoz Shah Gandhi, P.G. Gandhi. He said, now he heard that 2 rupees short. He said, yes, I have lost 2 rupees. So this new brahmachari must be doing some mischief here. So he started making propaganda amongst the monastery there, that this fellow must be a thief. So it went on, and unfortunately for me, the manager Swami Sattu Maharaj supported Gurubhai and didn't support me. So it was so bitter that then I thought, if this news go to my parents, what will happen? That I have stolen money. So I was very morose, depressed, And then one day I went to Pavitrananda Swami, fell down at his feet prostrate and said, please forgive me, I am already lost. So give me 2 rupees and save my life. Because my parents, when they will hear that I have stolen money, I don't know what is going to happen. He looked at me, he smiled, and then I started crying. So he started snubbing me. It cannot be. Why are you crying? You are not a thief. It cannot be. It cannot be. It cannot be, but others have made it. So finally I kept quiet. He said, you go back with the books, account books. I have to come back to my room. So after lunch, he was observing during lunch whether I was eating or not, or how much I was eating. Then after watching everything in the afternoon, after rest, he sent for me, tell him to come with the cash book and ledger book and everything. I went there. So he said, you leave it here. I shall see. All right, I left it. So before evening, he sent for me. You fool! Here is the mistake. Don't you see? This 2 rupees. It is here. You are just repeatedly you are missing to add to it. So he said, good Lord, my life was saved. And then at night during in the dining hall, on the dinner table, so he made a fool of me by pulling my legs in front of everybody, which indirectly, had beaten the others hollow.
Vivekanandaji Maharaj, had lived most part of his life in the Himalayas. He himself was as big as the Himalayas and as deep also as the Himalayas. The surrounding, the atmosphere around him, whether at Shamlatal or at Mayavati or at Dehradun or at Vizag or at Belur Mosque, will be just a Himalayan atmosphere. Anybody to go before Vivekanandaji Maharaj, including all the biggest persons of Belur Mosque today, they will think once, right, should we go now? Should we go now? Not that he was a shouting type of man, never. He wouldn't shout, he wouldn't scream. But something was there in him. So great, so majestic a personality, so rich in spiritual vibrations. It was really an experience to be at his feet, and so sweet.
আমি থাকতে পরে মাঝখানে একটু বড় ঘর, সেই ঘরে বিরিয়ান সেই ঘরটা দেখবার জন্য যাচ্ছি, যেতে যাবি একসময় বিমলদার আমি দুজনেই থাকতাম, এখানে একজন ওখানে একজন, মাঝখানটা টেবিল, ওখান দিয়ে গেলে মহারাজ ওখানে বসে বসে কাজকর্ম সব করছে।
আপনি তখন মহারাজ কত বয়স আপনার?
তখন বয়স কত?
ব্রহ্মচারী টাইম,
হ্যাঁ
ব্রহ্মচারী টাইম না?
ওখানে যখন নিলাম তখন ব্রহ্মচর্য হয়নি, তারপরে ব্রহ্মচর্য হয়েছে।
তখন মহারাজ প্রেসিডেন্ট ম্যারেজ ছিলেন, প্রেসিডেন্ট ম্যারেজ হয়েছিলেন।
হ্যাঁ, উনি প্রেসিডেন্ট।
কোনটা ঠাকুর মহারাজ?
এইটা ওর ঠাকুর ছিল,
ওই জন্য ওখানে এখনো আছে।
সেই জিনিস নেই এখন।
এই যে উপরে
উপরে রেখেছে?
মানে উনি কখনো পুজো করতেন না এখানে?
মানে পুজো করতেন
মায়াবতী শুনছিলেন
ঠাকুর মা স্বামীজি, এই যে মা কালী, সরস্বতী।
বিরজানন্দ মহারাজ এখানেই করতেন।
উনি এখানে করতেন। এই সিংহাসনটা এসব শরীর দিয়েছে, ওসব কি করেছিল?
তখন তো কেউই ছিল না, না আরো অনেকেই ছিলেন এখানে ওনার সঙ্গে।
ওর সঙ্গে শ্রদ্ধানন্দ স্বামী ছিলেন সেক্রেটারি, আমি অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট, দুজন আর দুজন সেবক।
Perhaps is not stone, and this is Revered stone.
हमको मालूम नहीं, हमने कभी खोला ही नहीं।
This was his cot. Beautiful place.
It was winter. Shamlata. He used to live in a bungalow on the first floor, away from the old building. Even now those two buildings are there. The main kitchen was in the old building. At lunchtime, we all would be coming to the old building for meal. So, on that particular day, we all came for our meal. That was the time when the Shebak will give him one chilam of tamaku, tobacco, hookah, gargara khete. That chilam will be kept ready, because to come from that building to this building to have our meal, wash and little chit chat and to go back, it would be at least 45 minutes to 1 hour. We used to take that much of time. So a big chilam used to be filled up and given, and his homework would be given, that is, the letters he was to sign or some special papers he has to see, everything would be given on his table so that he need not bother, and he will be doing his work. In the meantime, we finish our meal and come back there. We came there. I used to live on the ground floor. Shebok used to be on the first floor. Swami Atmasthanandaji, who is now in Sacramento, he also used to be on the ground floor next to my room. We came back and found our ground floor rooms full of smoke. So we thought, what's the matter? So much of smoke smelling, there must be some fire somewhere. So we went round, couldn't detect. Then it struck me, what's the matter upstairs? I went stealthily from room to room and found all the rooms were full of smoke, suffocating. And the old man in his study with his hookah doing his work. Little knowing or little detecting that even his study was full of smoke and smelling, his bedroom was full of smoke, his dining room was full of smoke, absolutely dead to circumstances, concentrated. Without telling him anything, went down and started searching, what's the matter? Now at the back, below his dining room, there's a staircase, and below that, one of my friends, he had set fire, and on that he had put a tin to boil water for Maharaj's bath. Now these are all fine wood work, that house. Somehow some flames touched the pine timber which was painted, and fire started there. Staircase was so much already burned. That was the year of our sannyas. So
I called my brother, Sannyas fought, now manage somehow to stop the fire. So we called Shankar Maharaj, Apurvanandaji, who is now at Advaita Ashram. We called him and quietly we extinguished the fire and then slowly went up and the side windows and things we opened. Virajanandaji never knew. Even afterwards we never told him, because after a few months we came here and we had our sannyas, 1949. This kind of concentration of mind. He was not meditating. He was not doing japam. He was not listening to the radio or attending to a TV program or anything. He was working. Mastery on the mind. Control over mind. So much control. So much concentration. Well, to me, it was really very, very remarkable.
Swami Jagananandaji Maharaj, about whom Swami Turiyanandaji said, a monk according to Vedantokta Sadhu. I had many occasions when I got the privilege, the opportunity, golden opportunity of going to him and living with him and studying Vedanta scriptures with him. He is to teach. Two other my monastic friends came and some others came from other places. So in all maybe 4 or 5 of us were there studying with him. It was Vedarnak Upanishad. The discussion was on the argument given in the Upanishad. Brahma Sattva Jagat Mithya Dishyatat Sapna Dishyavat. Brahma Sattva Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is real and the world is false. What is the argument? Argument is Dishyatat, because it is an object of seeing. Whatever you see, Dishyatat. What? Whatever I see is false? Yes, how? Sapna Dishyavat. What you see in the dream is not true. Dream is false. So, Dishyatat, this is all false. Brahma Sattva, Brahman alone is true. So he said that this is invincible. You cannot undo it, this argument. For a long time he explained. And as I told, I am a student of philosophy, so I also know how to twist and argue. So, a little bit at least. So after he finished, I said, Maharaj, now you said that this truth, this Brahman, cannot be known by argument, by logic, etc. And now you said, Dishyatat, Sapna Dishyavat. What is all this? This contradiction you are doing, Maharaj. I charged him. So he became furious. The whole thing became flushed. You are doing mischief. You understand, but you are still arguing. Well, you hear from me now. And then he started doing like this. Yes, I have known this truth, not by argument, not by logic, but by Mother's grace. How it ends, by Mother's grace. The great Vedantin ends by saying Mother's grace. He was doing this so hard. In the evening, he had heart attack. So when we are meditating, we got the report, about 10 minutes walk from the place where we are staying, the center, the hospital center, that Swami has heart attack. So we immediately closed everything and rushed there and started nursing him and all that. I was serving him. And in those days, that is in 52, there was no heart treatment actually available in our hospital in Vrindavan. I think Prashanta Bose was an eye specialist there who was doing very good job. He brought some book, Metromedica or something, and give more morphia. And when the extremities become cold, you massage brandy. That is what the treatment used to be. Morphine was given and brandy was given. So next day, towards the evening, suddenly he had a very bad attack. And after that, he was here resting on my back. And after that, when he was a little comfortable, I kept him half reclined and was massaging brandy. Suddenly he opened his eyes and in his own language looked furiously at me and said, Kikaro, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just massaging your feet. Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Do you understand that? Do you remember that? Tadudinahata Kaskala. Do you know Vijnanam Anandam Brahma? This knowledge and eternal joy. That is Brahman. If you have not known this, then this. By doing this, massaging, this. Have you known Vijnanam Anandam Brahma? He said, good Lord. In this heart condition, the man looks at us and doesn't talk about his pain or anything, says, what are you doing? And shouts like that. Vijnanam Anandam. So after that, again an attack came when he forced me to make him sit down and he was reclining on my shoulder here. Then suddenly we saw that he is passing out. But the last words he uttered were, Ma. This is what happened. We took him after many hours to the bank of the Jamuna in Vrindavan. It was a moonlight night. After bath and all that, when he was put on the new silk and cloth and looked at his face, it was really hard to believe that he has passed away. So much so, one of us became crazy afterwards and said that we have thrown into the Jamuna a living Swami. Monindra pagal hoye geshlo.
But he was a disciple of the Holy Mother, Jagadananda.
Yes.
That's why he said Ma.
Jagadananda Maharaj, Vishuddhananda Maharaj and Shantananda Maharaj. These three had sannyas, I think at Jarambati, together, and when they left, Mother blessed and said, 3 saints have gone.
আর এক পার্শ্বদ স্বামী অখণ্ডানন্দজির সঙ্গে আপনার মার্বেল খেলার একটা ঘটনা আছে, যদি বলেন।
ওটা আমাদের দিনাজপুরে তো টাউনে বাড়ি ছিল, আমাদের বাড়ির বাগান শেষ হলেই রাস্তা, তার অন্যদিকে নুটুবাবু বলে এক জমিদার, তার বাড়িতে ওখানে অখণ্ডানন্দ স্বামী আসতেন। নুটুবাবুর এক ছেলে, সে প্যারালাইসিস হয়ে বিছানায় পড়ে থাকে, তার সঙ্গে তো খুব ভাব ছিল, তা আসতেন। তো ওখানে ওই বাড়িতে ঢোকার আগে এদিকে একটা বড় লোকের বাড়ি, জমিদারের বাড়ি, আর এইদিকে ওদের বাড়ি, মাঝখানে একটা রাস্তা আছে। তো সেই রাস্তায় উনি আসতেন যখন, তখন আমরা সব ওখানে যেতাম, ওর সঙ্গে মার্বেল খেলতেন, এই মজা। আর এছাড়া আমরা এর মধ্যে কোনো অন্য কিছু বুঝি এরকম করতেন।
তখন আপনার কিরকম বয়স?
তখন তো স্কুলে পড়ি, ক্লাস 6-এ পড়ি কি 7-এ পড়ি এরকম।
পরবর্তীকালে যখন অখণ্ডানন্দজি সেই বোধ, সেই জ্ঞান হলো, তখন কিরকম লেগেছিল?
তখন তো বুঝলাম যে অন্যরকম।
Swami Abhedanandaji, a brother disciple of Swami Vivekananda. When I was in the Scottish Church College Ogilvy Hostel, on many occasions I used to go to the Vedanta Society because that is hardly, I think, 10 minutes walk. The first time I saw must be sometime in August, September or so. Between July and September sometime, he was used to be in Darjeeling during summer and he came down. There was a train accident, but his compartment and a few other compartments were saved, and he came in the morning. We went there in the evening. We saw him, beautiful, fine appearance itself is so impressive and attractive. He didn't talk much, we saw him, and I think he had this habul-babul with him, hookah. We went, we made pranams, and he blessed. The most memorable thing, one day in the afternoon after college hours and all that, when I went there, I was there, he was seated in an armchair, easy chair, and myself, one or two Swamis, and maybe one or two other devotees were there. Then he said, you know something, I'll tell you, you have seen in the temple, you have seen, it is there on the table, an altar made of Mysore sandalwood that has come on that day in the morning from Mysore. You see that this I have brought from Mysore, made of Mysore sandalwood. Do you see the casket there in the Almirah? We saw there is a casket. So, yes Maharaj, casket there. Do you know what is there inside? It is all gold. I was carrying this gold just down the staircase there. Then I heard somebody telling me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I said, what is this I'm hearing? You don't understand. I could never touch metal, and you want to make a golden altar for me? Then I heard the voice, Thakur's voice. I thought, it is my aberration of my mind. I went down one or two steps more. Then as if a big jolt, don't you hear I'm telling you? I could not touch metal. And you want to place me on the golden throne. So I came back. I put the gold there. And I placed order for this Mysore sandalwood throne. And it has now come. That is most memorable.
কৃষ্ণ গুণধাম তোমার পতিত পাবন নাম মোরা ভজন বিহীন দীন ভাজন হয় না গোবম রাম কৃষ্ণ গুণধাম তোমার পতিত পাবন নাম।
দেখিস না আমি রোজ কথামৃত পড়ি, হয়তো গীতা পড়ি, এটা রোজ করা হয় এই জন্যে যে আমার মনটা এই আধ্যাত্মিকতার ব্যাপারে মানে একদম জাগ্রত থাকবে, এই জন্যে। আর জপ আর ধ্যান যতটা পারি ততটা করি, তত ভোরবেলায় আর একটা হচ্ছে সন্ধ্যেবেলায়, আর তার ফাঁকায় যদি কখনো সময় থাকে তখনও ফর্মাল না করেও বিছানায় শুয়ে শুয়েও করে দেব। যেন সাধন তেন সিদ্ধি, ডানাতে ভগবানের পাদপদ্ম সবসময় ধরে থাকতে হয়, ডানাতে সংসারে কাজ করবে। ঘূর্ণি খাওয়া জানিস তো, খুঁটিটা ঘোরে ধরে আর ছেড়ে দিয়ে ঘুরলে মাথা ঘুরে পড়বে, তাই ওইটা ধরে থাকা, সব সময় ঠাকুরের পাদপদ্ম ধরে থাকাটা। সেই জন্যে যতটা সম্ভব এটা করা, এবং জপ ধ্যান তো আছে, তাছাড়া আবার এই লীলা প্রসঙ্গ পড়া, কথামৃত পড়া, গীতা পড়া, সেসব বইকে পড়বে। এই তো খুব সকালের বেলাতেও খুব পড়তুম, সন্ধ্যেবেলাতেও পড়তুম, এটা অনেক বেশি পড়তুম। জপ টপগুলো এখনো সকালে সন্ধ্যে আর অন্য অনেক সময় থাকে যে লোকে বুঝতে পারে না কেউ, কিন্তু আমি মনে মনে জপ করি। এসব না করলে তো যে উদ্দেশ্যে মা বাবাকে ছেড়ে এসে এখানে আছি তা পূর্ণ হবে না। তা করতে গেলে ওই ডান হাত দিয়ে সব সময় ঠাকুরের পাদপদ্ম ধরে থাকতে হবে, আর বাঁ হাতে ঘুরবো। ঘুরনি জানিস তো, ওই খুঁটিটা ধরে ঘোরে, বড় বড় করে ঘোরে, কিচ্ছু হয় না, কিন্তু যদি ছেড়ে দেয় ছিটকে পড়বে একবারে। সেই রকম আমরা যদি সবসময় যেভাবেই হোক ভগবানের পাদপদ্ম ধরে থাকতে পারি, তাহলে একবারে নিশ্চিত একবারে সব হবে, আর তা নাহলে হবে না। এখন তো লক্ষ লক্ষ লোক এই ঠাকুর মা স্বামীজি একে খুব ভালোবাসে, ভক্তি করে। ও হিন্দু আছে, খ্রিস্টান আছে, মুসলমান আছে, সব রকমের আছে। সকলে হয়তো প্রকাশ করে না, কিন্তু বাদ নেই। সারা পৃথিবী আজকে যুগাবতার আশীর্বাদ পাচ্ছে। কৃপা কোনো জাত, কোনো ধর্ম, কোনো সামাজিক অবস্থায় কোনো বিষয় কনসিডার করছেন না। যেখানেই একটুখানি ভক্তি আছে সেখানেই ঠাকুর কৃপা করছেন, মা কৃপা করছেন, স্বামীজি তার জন্য যা করার তা করে দিচ্ছেন। কলিযুগটা যেমন খারাপ হয়েছে, তেমনি একেবারে ভগবান সেই রকমই ওষুধ নিয়ে দিচ্ছেন, যাতে কলিযুগে এসে খাওয়া সত্ত্বেও সে মহাপুরুষ হবে। ঠাকুরের ভক্ত যে শুধু এই হিন্দু আমরা তা নয়, ও খ্রিস্টান, মুসলমান এদের মধ্যেও খুব আছে। আর ঠাকুরের যে এটা, তাতে তো এমন নয় যে মুসলমানের নামাজ পড়া বন্ধ করে সে আমাদের রামকৃষ্ণের মন্দিরে আসতে হবে, তা তো নয়। হ্যাঁ, না, সেই তো বলছি, একেবারে অদ্ভুত ব্যাপার। একবারে এ অবতার বলিষ্ঠ। আজ পর্যন্ত যত বড় অবতার এসেছেন তার মধ্যে ঠাকুর সেই জন্যে সবচেয়ে বড়, এবং অবস্থা হয়েছিল সবচেয়ে খারাপ। আর এলেনও তিনি ভগবান সবচেয়ে বেশি শক্তি এবং রূপ নিয়ে এলেন, যার জন্যে আজকে সারা পৃথিবীতে হিন্দু, মুসলমান, খ্রিস্টান সকলেই ঠাকুরকে ভালোবাসে। ঠাকুরকে ভালোবাসলে তো তাকে তার নিজের ধর্ম ছাড়তে হবে না। ঘর বিপাকে যখন দেখবি অন্ধকার, মা যে তখন করেন সব পরিষ্কার।
সাধু জীবন সম্পর্কে কিছু বলুন।
সাধু ভগবানকে নিয়েই থাকে। কাম কাঞ্চন কোনটার মধ্যে যাকে কখন যাবে না, গেলে তার সাধু জীবন হবে না। এই সোজা কথা। একবারে যে যা নিয়ে মানুষ সব জায়গায় ব্যস্ত থাকে, কাম আর কাঞ্চন, তাই এই দুটো একবারে কাম কাঞ্চন কিছু থাকবে না। আর থাকবে কি? তাহলে থাকবে শুধু ভগবানের পাদপদ্ম। সব সময় তার বুকের মধ্যে ভগবানের পাদপদ্ম সে অনুভব করবে।
মনের খারাপ সংস্কার কি করে যাবে?
ভগবানের পাদপদ্ম ধরে যাবে। ভাত খাওয়া তো কেউ বলে দিতে হয় না। ভাত খাওয়া ঠিক একবার মন থেকে আসছে, যাচ্ছি, খাচ্ছি, রোজই খাচ্ছি, কখনো ভালো রান্না, কখনো মন্দ রান্না, যাই হোক সব করছি, এটা তো হয়। সেই রকম এই ভগবানকে ধরে থাকা, ভগবানকে ধরে থাকতেই হবে সব সময়। এই
ঠাকুরের কাছে কি প্রার্থনা করতে হয়?
কি প্রার্থনা করবে? প্রার্থনা করবে এই, ঠাকুর তুমি কৃপা করে আমাকে তোমার পায়ের তলায় থাকতে দাও। বাস, ঠাকুরের পায়ের তলায় থাকা মানে কি? তার পায়ের তলায় থাকা মানে
তার শরণাগত।
তিনি সব সময় তোমাকে দেখবেন, যা যা যাতে তোমার মঙ্গল হয় তাই করে দেবেন। আর তুমি এটাও বলতে পারো, ঠাকুর তোমার পা দুটো আমাকে ধরে থাকতে দাও, এও বলতে পারো। যা খুশি প্রার্থনা করবে, যেমন সাধন তান সিদ্ধি দেখবে মনে অবস্থা। কিন্তু যদি তুমি ভগবানের পা দুটো ধরে ফেলতে পারো, তোমার মনে মনে সবাই করে করে যত তুমি ভগবানের করে করতে পারবে, ততই দেখবে তোমার সব ভালো হচ্ছে।
জব কত করতে হবে?
জব ধ্যান কতক্ষণ করতে হবে?
হ্যাঁ,
জব ধ্যান কতক্ষণ করতে হবে?
যত করতে পারো তত করবে, কম করবে না। যত পারো তত করবে। তুমি কাজকর্ম করছো কিন্তু ভিতরে ভিতরে তোমার ঠিক আছে, তাঁরই সেবা করছি, এসব এইরকম। কাপড়টা ঠিক নেই। কি মজা, একদম বাস, একদম সব বন্ধ, কি মজা। হ্যাঁ, সেই তারপরে কালকে তো
জয়রামবাটি।
হ্যাঁ,
জয়রামবাটি
আগামীকাল জয়রামবাটি
মায়ের কাছে
সকাল 9টায়।
কালকে জয়রামবাটি। জয়রামবাটিতে গ্রামখানি যে ধন্য হলো মায়ের পায়ের ধুলিতে, বৈকুণ্ঠ থেকে লক্ষ্মী এলেন পৃথিবীর এই মাটিতে। রামচন্দ্র মুখোপাধ্যায় পিতা,
শ্যামা সুন্দরী
মাতা,
আমোদরের তীরে এলেন
জগতেরই মাতা। বৈকুণ্ঠ থেকে লক্ষ্মী এলেন জয় রাম বাটিতে। ও চলছে,
খুব সুন্দর গিয়েছেন মহারাজ, আরেকবার গান।
আরে ও গাইব না, বাস থাকবি
করে নিচ্ছি, লাইট জ্বালতে হবে না, করে নিচ্ছি।
বাস। জয় ঠাকুর, জয় মা।